Hey guys, so tonight's video, or today's installment of Maymay Made It, is going to feature something that is probably the most questioned thing I do. The one thing that people ask me more than anything is how to make a Christmas bow. Now, there are probably tutorials all over the internet for this. I have no idea. I didn't even search. I just was thinking, what kind of tutorial can I do now that it's Christmas time that everybody will need to see? Well, I have been making bows pretty steady now for the past, I guess, 3 or 4 days, making them for my work, making them for my home, everywhere. And sorry, I should have already taken this off, but that was just the plastic cover around the ribbon. And I decided that now's the time. I just think you guys, you probably know how to make a bow, or you've probably either attempted or, had some kind of success or failure at bow making. There's lots of ways to do it. You can use the bow dabra things, I think they're called, or anything that works. If you have a contraption of sorts that you have figured out that you use that works for you, that's fantastic. I lately have been seeing a lot of the geo mesh wreaths being made, and a lot of double ribbon bows and triple ribbon bows being put on those. I wanted to show you tonight a couple of ways of making a bow. Number one, you're going to need some ribbon. Now, I personally like wired edge ribbon. I think you can do a lot with that. As you notice, this one, I think I fixed it before you could see it, but this one was folded when it came off of the roll like this, and with wired ribbon, I can just open it up and I don't really even have to waste that edge. I can use it. I'll show you on this one, it's folded. I'm going to open it up so I can use it. Now I'm going to make a double bow. Now you will have to get used to doing this, holding it, using, operating this system, and you'll find the way that works best for you. I would normally throw this in the floor, sit in front of the TV, and just knock out some bows. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ribbon. This is actually let me look. This is a 2.5-inch polyester ribbon that I buy from a local floral supply that we have here in my area. And this one, this time of year you can get it pretty cheap. These are 10-yard rolls. You won't use anywhere near 10 yards. I take that back. Depending on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use it for like a tree topper, you might very well use 10 yards. These are chenille stems, and we'll get to those in a minute. I personally like to use chenille stems. Not everybody does, but that's what I'm going to use. And then you're going to need your good scissors, obviously, so I'm going to set those aside too. But these are 10-yard spools of ribbon, and we're just going to get started. First things first, for the double ribbon bow, you're going to place one on top of the other. Now, my prominent ribbon in this bow is going to be this Santa, the ho 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 ribbon. I want that one to be more prominent than the plaid, so I want to place it on top. But let's say you wanted the plaid to be more prominent, you just place it on top. But I really like this. And what you hear in the background is my Christmas music. I've had Christmas music playing since I got home, so I don't have an orchestra of people that just play for me, but that is what that is. So if you hear it, that's what it is. So to get started, we're going to make a bow, just a loop in the center. So I'm just going to take these 2 pieces of ribbon, and I'm basically just making a circle, just like this. And just as a disclaimer, I taught myself how to make bows, so there may be some secret wonderful thing to do out there that I don't know, but this is just how I've always done it for years and never had a problem. Now I'm going to make this loop a little bit bigger because I'm making a pretty good sized bow. So here's the loop. Now the one thing that will make your bow a pro looking bow versus an amateur looking bow is this. If you bend this curve while making it, see how we have a nice bend? If you accidentally crease this, it's not going to look professional. This portion of the bow that we'll be seeing needs to keep its shape, and I'll show you how to do that. The first thing you do is make this loop. At the bottom where they connect, I have them overlapping just slightly. Let me see if you can see how that overlaps slightly. Now what you want to do is you want to gather this up into your fingers nice and tight. Now, and then when I do that, I pull up on this because I want to keep that circular shape. This is where this gets important. Because our prominent ribbon is the Santa ribbon, and it's only printed on one side, we're going to have to do a twist. This twist is what makes the bow what it is. I'm just going to twist it. I'm going to do that again one more time. I'm going to grab this portion of the ribbon in my hand, working with your fingers close together, and twist. When you twist and you want to hold that down, bring that up there so you can see that. I want to hold that down. Now I have twisted the ribbon so that my plaid is back to the bottom and my Santa is back to the top. Okay, Here again, this is where the important part comes in. When you come out here to make your loop, this loop is going to depend on how big you want your bow to be. This section that you do here. I typically do, this is a wreath bow. This is not a Christmas tree topper bow that I'm doing. And this is going to be difficult on this camera, but I'm going to try. I would typically do a 6 or 7 inch loop, gathering at the center. When I take my ribbon back, I just gather it up in the middle. I'm going to twist my hand over, awkward to do that, but I'm going to show you. I've squished it together. Then I press it all together. Again, this is hard to do, showing you in slow motion, basically. Get some more ribbon out. We're going to do another twist because we still have the wrong bow on top. So putting your finger between them, holding the other two, you're going to twist. And that simple twist brings your prominent ribbon up. Okay? So now if I turn it to the side, you see we have our center loop, our first bow loop, and we're fixing to start our second loop. So the way we do our second loop is just like the first. Just like it. We're going to get our ribbon together. It's a little more difficult on my desk, which is really why I needed to do this in the floor, but my camera wouldn't do as well there, so I'm going to do this on my desk. Now all you want to do here is kind of mimic the size of your last loop, and that's, you know, remotely close there. And what we want to do here, same thing. We're going to place that ribbon at the back. We're going to squish it to gather it. Okay, and because we want the next loop to be the same, we're going to twist. So I've gathered it. I'm going to twist it. Now, you can probably already tell. I'm going to put this ribbon in the floor because this is just not working for me. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, the ribbon's in the floor now, so now I have some room to work. Now you've probably already can tell, you're going to go out here, bring it up and make your loop again. Now here, I want to use my fingers as my guide to keep my loops pretty much the same. Just going to pull them together till that stops. That kind of gives me my center point for where I need to squish the ribbon. And I squish it. And then I twist it. It's just the same process over and over from this point. And one of the tricks for a bow is, you know, be fussy with it. Don't just sling it together and think, oh, this is going to take forever if I don't hurry or whatever. Be fussy with it. I'm being really fussy with this one because I want you to be able to see it good, but I'm going to make another loop, keeping my ribbons together. Another reason you want to keep your ribbon together, if your ribbon gets separated a lot, it's going to be harder to hold. Because here it's like we're holding one ribbon, but if your ribbon starts to come apart in the middle, it's like you're holding two. So try to keep those close together. Measure your loops, get that straight, squish it in the middle, and twist. Getting the idea? Pretty much the same thing over and over. Another trick, as I keep working, and I'm just gonna let you watch me work here. Another trick is, if you know you want a 5-yard bow, let's say, which won't be a very big bow, to be honest. If you know you want that, you can pre-cut 5 yards of ribbon and you won't have these spools hanging, and that's a little easier too. I typically just, like I said, jump in the floor, sit in front of the TV, and get these done. And I end up making a lot of bows all year long, not all year, but all season, because I make them for, you know, family and friends and church and work. I spent the whole day decorating my office for work today, so I thought, it was funny. This is where this came from, actually. All my coworkers were standing watching me do the Christmas tree today, and I guess I don't think about the fact that a lot of people just don't do their Christmas tree the way, you know, I do a Christmas tree, and they're always interested in how I do it. So they're all standing there watching. They're like, "That's how you do that," or, you know, I could hear. This is really off camera. I apologize, but they're just kind of like, "That's how you do that," and I could just hear their, you know, their amazement at that's how easy that is. And that's what I'm really trying to show you, is this is how easy this is. Now I'm going to tell you, I've tried for years to teach my mother how to do this, and this is just not her thing. It's very difficult if you can't get the grasp of holding this really tight. And I gotta be honest, I don't know how long I'll be, you know, as I get older, my fingers start to hurt. This is really difficult, and that's why I think those bow machines you can get at the craft stores are great. Now we could stop here, because although it looks like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 loop bow, you actually have an 8 loop bow, because you're going to pull out, and it'll be 16 loops, because you're going to pull out 8 loops and 8 loops. So for the purpose of the video, I'm going to stop here. This bow may be too small for my tree, but it'll be good for a wreath. Now, chenille stem. I love these. I think, now you can use craft wire. I'll show you some craft wire. This is a craft wire I pick up at my local hobby store. And what I like about it is it comes with this little cutter on the end, so you can just put the the wire in and just cut it. That's fantastic. But I find that these chenille stems grab better and I can get a really, really tight twist. What I do is, and you don't have to do this way, you may have a different system, but this is what I do. I stick the chenille stem through the middle of the bow where I've been holding it all this time, and now it's coming out each end, okay? And now I'm going to wrap it to the back side. I'm still holding this as tight as I can, and this is where the true test is. The tighter you make the centerpiece, the better your bow is going to look. So I'm going to push my fingers all the way to the ribbon, and I'm going to twist as tight as I can. Now over time, you get to where you can just knock these things out. You can just sit down and make them without even looking. You'll be good enough to do that. Now, you have some options here. And I personally, because this is going to be for my wreath, I like to actually put my streamers on my wreath separately. So I'm going to show you that. But if you wanted to, you could take this ribbon while you were still holding it, and before you tied it, this is pretty neat how this works. Give me just a second to get some ribbon up. So before you tied it, you would take your ribbon and make a big loop. Now I'm going to show you what I just did. This is a big loop, okay? So before I would have used the twist tie or the chenille stem, I would have put this on there, done it together, and then these, by cutting them in half, would have been the tendrils that hang down. But like I said, this is for a wreath. I like to put those in separately, and maybe I can show you that in another video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut this away. This is not as important to me right now because of how I'm going to use the bow. If I needed those tendrils, like I said, you would just loop them, tie it, and then cut it. Okay, so now we have this, and what do? This is where that centerpiece comes in, so important of being twisted tight. Now you're going to separate these. And when you separate them, you want to, be as conscious as you can about pulling your pattern away from each other so you don't end up with one whole side, one design, and one whole side the other. Unless you want that, which can be cute too, depending on how you're using it. You can, have one whole side plaid and one whole side Santa, whichever way you want to do that. So I'm just going to pull these out. Again, I want you to be really careful about this area here, not creasing it. That's what gives your bow the body and the shape, is when you don't crease these edges. And you'll just pull this and play with it and pull it, and they'll kind of go where they want to go. I mean, they're gonna shape out the way they want to shape out. I normally try to keep a control in the center, but when you do the double, it's a little bit different than when you're just doing a single bow. You want to try to keep those loops nice and pretty. You can do this with so many loops as long as you can hold it. Now I'm going to come to the other side, and I'm going to separate them. Paying attention to my ho-ho-ho on that side. I have a lot over there, it looks like, so I think I'm going to break my rule, which is fine. Break your rules. That's what art is doing what's best for you. And now I'm going to pull this one away. And now let's pull this one the opposite. And now this one the opposite. Now you can play with this, and you can twist and turn. That's the beauty of the wire. You can twist it and turn it any way you like. I'm even going to show you the back side in just a second, but that's a nice big bow. I'm going to flip it over and show you this side. You can see that now you have this piece to put it on your wreath with, and that's how it works. Now I'm going to take some pictures of this on a wreath and let you see what that looks like. This is the 2-ribbon bow, and let you see how this worked out. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully it'll help you in all your decorating this year and make your bows just as fluffy and pretty as you can. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye-bye.